is Eric McNair with Add Some Tech, a digital marketing and technology podcast. We discuss the relationship of how both digital marketing and technology affect each other. This week, I have a very special guest, my wife, Natalie. Hey, Natalie, say hello to everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
So, I wanted to bring you on because I've watched you, as we've been married now for over 15 months now.
Yes.
I've watched you and how you operate with your phone.
Okay.
And I think it's really interesting because you do things that I would quote regular people do.
Okay.
But you understand why you're doing it. Like there's a logic and there's a thought process behind it. And I've asked you things because it really, you're right in this like perfect little middle ground of being able to kind of speak for the masses, but yet at the same time you kind of understand the more higher level thinking and what's actually happening, things like privacy and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
So before we get into all that, I think would be wise to kind of go back to the beginning and talk about your first smartphone purchase. So,
okay, well, my very first smartphone was the BlackBerry, and
wow.
Yeah. It was like in 2009. It was like the pearl one, I guess.
Okay.
It was pink, all whatever. So
see, I thought the iPhone 4 was the first smartphone you had.
No.
So it was the BlackBerry.
Yes.
Okay.
So I bought the BlackBerry in 2009 and had it for probably 6 months and ditched it. And I went back to I think it was a Samsung or an LG phone that had like the flip up and QWERTY keyboard. And I had that phone and I loved that phone, would not go to a smartphone, and I had it until about 2013 when I got the iPhone 4.
Okay. That's funny. So there's so much to unpack with that. Why did you ditch it? Why did you go from 6 months from the BlackBerry back to a feature phone, something that doesn't have smartphone capabilities?
Well, I didn't feel like it was worth the money. It was a very expensive plan,
mm-hmm.
and I felt like I wasn't getting a lot out of it. I had a laptop that I could go and do things with. It didn't really have GPS. You couldn't use it for that, and I just didn't really feel like I don't know. I just didn't think I needed a smartphone to check my email. It wasn't worth the cost.
Okay, that makes sense. So you went back to a feature phone, essentially a dumb phone, as they called it, and then you went to the iPhone 4. So explain that, because your mom went and got a phone around the same time, and that was a Galaxy S4.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, your entire family, pretty much, I mean, there's a couple of rogue iPhone users in there,
yeah.
But for the most part, your family is very like Team Android, kind of in that camp. So what made you go, I'm going to get an iPhone 4 over?
Well, I've just always liked the iPhone. I like the interface. I like how you interact with it. I like the way it looks. I like that you can put all of your music on there. I had an iPod Touch before that.
Okay.
So I wanted everything that an iPod Touch had, but, with the phone capabilities of everything else. So that's why. I mean, I just liked it better than Android. Android seems boring to me, but also complicated at the same time. I don't know how that works. So I just wanted an iPhone for those reasons.
Okay. So boring yet complicated. It's an interesting concept, because it's funny, this kind of Apple versus Android thing. I think we kind of had that a little bit when we first got married. When we got married, we went out and we got our own phone plan, and you got an iPhone 6 and I bought a Galaxy S5. So they were both the top level phones at the time. They're both flagship phones, the best ones you could get on either platform. And so you had an iPhone, I had an Android phone, and one of the things I noticed was, there's two things. Number one, I bought an iPhone 6S Plus about a year after.
It was a year, yeah.
Yeah, a year after, because it was such an awful experience. So
on Android.
Yes, so it was very much like this feeling of, Oh man, you made the right decision. Like it's like 2 months in, it was like buyer's remorse, like all with that. But there was a completely different operation between an iPhone and an Android phone. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with you. Was going over to the iPhone now, it's like a completely different experience than what you experience on Android in terms of how you interact with the web. It's a completely different paradigm. And so the first question I have with the iPhone with you is using Safari.
Okay.
So when you got your first iPhone, you got your iPhone 4, you would always go search something, but you would open up the Google app.
Yes.
So explain kind of the thought process between apps versus the web and just things like that, like how you operate on a phone.
Well, I knew Safari was on there, but even when I was on my computer, I would just go to Google. And I never typed in web addresses or anything like that. I would just pull up Google and then, okay, take me where I want to go. I didn't want to navigate the web myself. So when I got a phone, I didn't think about Safari first. I just went to Google, Googled it. Google got it for me, and I guess it was laziness. I don't know. I just never thought of Safari as something that could help me navigate the web well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what's really weird is that Safari can navigate the web better than any other mobile browser platform, but yet it is so dwarfed from the whole app ecosystem. Like Chrome on Android is garbage. Like it's seriously, I had to disable it on my Galaxy S5 so I could actually make a phone call. But the entire operating system is built around Chrome. It's built around this concept of you use your phone just like you used a computer. Mm-hmm. You go to a browser. There isn't a thing called an app. I mean, they do have apps, but they're garbage on Android. So it's built around this whole web experience. It's like taking the experience you have on a computer and moving to a phone paradigm, but using the same structure. So, but it just seemed like, maybe it was part of it was you being an iPod Touch before. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of, it made sense to use apps over Safari. So, but I think it's interesting how you say that it's just kind of, it doesn't feel like you can do it as efficiently in Safari.
Right. Which has changed. Now I don't use Google, I use Safari now. Because the search feature that they have on the iPhone now makes it easier. So you're searching, but you're using Safari to search.
Yeah. I think that's interesting and this is something that I think is a real shot across the bow for Google, is the fact that you can just pull down, like you stick your thumb in the middle of the screen and you swipe down to where you pull up this little search bar and you can then just type something in, hit search the web, and you're going to Google through that paradigm. So it's like it's a built-in search app.
Right, and Google's not on your phone.
Yes. And it's really easy to switch it out with another search engine and stuff like that. So it's really, it keeps the whole cohesive experience without having to install stuff. But so I think the big thing that, I guess, kind of digging a little bit deeper into kind of like the app versus the web, let's just say Pizza Hut. Let's just use this as an example. You want to order Pizza Hut on your phone. You don't want to make a phone call. You want to fill out a form and get your pizza ordered. Mm-hmm. Where are you going to go first for that?
Download the app.
Why do you go to the app first?
Because it's going to work better.
Yeah.
If Pizza Hut has done their job, they've made you an app that you can go to and go through quickly, just pick a few different things. Maybe you have to log in, maybe you don't. But if you do have to log in, it's probably remembered already for you, so I don't have to remember another password. You just click on the app, put in what you want, and send it, and they already have it pretty much set up for you. It's simple.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's interesting how that concept, like, you weren't really trained to do that. It's just, this is how the iPhone works.
It's just easier.
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm such an old person when it comes to the iPhone, buying the original iPhone before the App Store Like, I thought Safari was the greatest thing in the world on that thing, because that was the only way you could get to anything was through Safari. There was no app for Pizza Hut. If you want to put an order in with Pizza Hut, I don't know why I'm talking about Pizza Hut, but I guess the reason why I'm talking about Pizza Hut is their app is terrible. Hey, Pizza Hut, you should work on that.
Yeah, I was like, Papa John's, they have a good app.
Yes.
So. But anyway.
I think it's interesting how for the iPhone, it's almost like a different demographic, a different marketing mechanism needs to be there to reach people that have iPhones as opposed to Android. Android, you can put mobile ads in because people are going to be using Chrome. They're going to be using some Chrome-like experience. And even if it's not Chrome, it's built into the apps on the Android platform. So it's kind of more of a seamless experience. But going on the iPhone side of things, you've got to really, that's a whole nother game in terms of marketing. So, because, really, if you think about it, like how much time are you actually spending in Safari? I mean, it's very minimal.
Yeah, I don't spend very much time online at all.
I mean, you ask Siri for stuff, too.
Yes.
Which is really bad for Google because it's powered by Bing.
Right.
So, like, just kind of thinking, like, I mean, even though Google is your default search, you rarely, if ever, use Google.
Right.
What's really interesting is the report that just got leaked through court documents about Google giving Apple $1 billion in 2014 to be the default search engine on the iPhone. That they still sit there and go, we have to be default. Mm-hmm. We're going to lose so much business. But at the same time, I'm like, how much business are you getting from this? That's the big.
Well, if you do use the search on your phone, Safari takes you to Google. But if you use Siri, you go to Bing. So.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask, and if you may, pull up your phone real quick, let's do a little test. Okay. I'll have to dictate this because you can't see this. So pull down, like you're going to do a search, and search for how to make pancakes in 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'll just type that in. Pancakes in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That's fast.
Okay. So, all right. So right now you have a couple different choices. Just tell me which one you would push first.
Honestly, I would go to the web. I don't normally go to anything that they've suggested because I've found that it's not normally the best thing.
Okay.
So I just hit search web.
Okay. So what has happened is that Natalie did a search and she typed it in and 3 results from Bing popped up. So that is Apple serving up 3 suggested website results, and those are coming from Bing. So it's kind of another way of Apple kind of weaseling in an alternative to Google without completely taking them off the default. So, but what's interesting is you just said that's garbage and I'm going to move down to you're going to go all the way down. Mm-hmm. You're going to get your mouse out of get your keyboard out of the way and make that selection way down at the bottom of your screen.
To search the web.
Yes. So you're looking for search the web.
Because I've tried their stuff before and it won't work on my phone. It doesn't pull up properly. It's a waste of my time. So I would rather go down to the other thing at the bottom and hit that because I know it's going to be faster and work for me. So
what if let's say iOS 10 comes out, you update your phone and you go to search and you hit search the web and you don't get Google. What's going to happen?
If they're giving me decent things that work on a mobile device, I'll be okay with it.
Okay.
I'm okay with letting go of Google if the other option works well.
But what if you click search the web and those 3 results you just saw on the screen are the same results?
That's going to make me angry. I'm going to download the Google app and I'm going to use Google.
But if you got those results, would you try to go figure out how to turn it back on? Try to figure out how to make that not happen?
No, I would just download the Google app.
You wouldn't even try to go through settings?
No, because why are they taking something away and making me work for them? This is my phone. It should work for me. That's what I think.
Well, and that's interesting because Apple has you using this paradigm. And the reason why they have you using this is a whole marketing concept on their end. They got you using this easier system that they've now put a barrier between you and Google, essentially. You have to go through Apple to get to Google at this point. So it's not just going to Safari and going to the bar and that's Google. This is different. This is a completely different paradigm to where they could, at a moment's notice, flip the switch and change it. But basically what you're saying is that it has to stay, the results have to stay the same that you're getting right now through Google. And if you have a bad experience, you know enough to go to Google's app and just give up on the current setup.
Right.
So, yeah, that's...
I mean, I had Google, and then it wasn't as convenient as just swiping down and typing something in. So that's why I got rid of it. But if the swiping down is not as convenient, then I'll just go back to Google because that works.
Right. Well, that's interesting to kind of consider. I think there's a lot of things. I think there's kind of a meta thing for Google and Apple to hash out, that they still have to have that paradigm functioning. But the other thing is, from a marketing standpoint, for small businesses or just even bigger brands trying to reach you, like the access point to ads for you is almost non-existent. When you're on your phone, where's the spots where you see ads the most? Facebook.
Yes. It's
funny, the real competitor, the real ad platform for iPhones is Facebook. It's not Google. So that's really interesting to kind of consider, is that if you have a demographic that is very iPhone centric, that Google probably isn't the best platform for you. It probably is going to be Facebook at that point, Facebook advertising. So if you have a large iOS base, that's going to be a very lucrative spot for you.
A new thing also is Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram a lot, and they are putting ads in your feed. And
oh, I know. I make some of them.
No, I know that, but I just think, and that's not as annoying to me as other places where ads are, just because they've done a good job of blending it in. And
well, here's a question though. They have blended it in well. Have you ever clicked on one? Have you interacted with any ad that you've seen?
No, because I know it's an ad and I can pretty much ignore it if I choose to.
See, that's...
But if it's a video, sometimes I'll watch it to see if it's funny. So there's that, but yeah.
So just little word of advice for anybody: if you want to make a, if you want to go after anybody with Instagram, make sure it's a funny video.
But I think the other thing is, it may be difficult to figure out what I like on Instagram and do ads that are actually something I'm interested in, because that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So. That's
true. Well, going to Facebook, have you clicked on a Facebook ad ever?
Yes, for a magazine.
Okay. But for the most part, when you're looking through Facebook, are you pretty aware of the fact that they're ads?
Yes, especially because I pretty much know where they position them, so my eyes just don't go there now. I'm trained not to look at ads, so I'm hard to get ads to.
Yeah, well, I understand. But that's interesting, that even on Facebook, and that's what I've seen from my experience with marketing on Facebook, is that in marketing on Instagram is nobody clicks on anything on Instagram, but they do click on Facebook. Even though people say they don't, they do. Well, I think that's pretty much about it in terms of what I wanted to hit on. So, man, BlackBerry Curve,
yeah.
Huh? Yeah. I had a BlackBerry 8800. I had it for about 6 months too.
Oh yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
BlackBerry.
Yeah, may you rest in peace, BlackBerry. And with that is our podcast for the week. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you soon.